Hello and welcome to Weirdos Season 2. My name's Kellen.
And I'm Jay. And yes, Season 2 starts today. It is September 9th, 2021, the year of our Lord and Savior. And coincidentally enough, September 9th is National Weirdos Day.
How about that?
Yeah,
it's
and
almost
also,
like we planned it.
Yeah, almost. Also, my mother's birthday. Happy birthday, Ruby. But we're excited to be back for Season 2. It's been a few months, and we've upgraded a little bit, haven't we?
A little bit. And if you didn't know, this is the first time we've ever recorded in person together.
It is, and does it feel weird? It feels a little weird.
A little bit.
I'm just looking deep into your eyes.
I'm used to staring in the corner.
Me too. I'm actually used to staring at pillows. So it's just a little bit of an upgrade, I guess.
Yeah.
But we're here in the our new recording space, which is Rockin' Sound Lab, created by the one and only Rodney Knopfsinger. Hey, round of applause. We are in his upstairs studio that he's made for himself and for us, and we greatly appreciate it. It's soundproof, it's beautiful, it's well lit, and there's handsome men around you can't see off camera. Speaking of camera, we're recording.
We are recording because we're going to start releasing videos on YouTube.
The YouTubes.
To correspond with our episodes and probably do some extra recordings as well. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe do some behind the scenes stuff or maybe some just like little shorts.
Yeah, I think that'll be fun. Last year, I really tied my hands because my OCD would not let me go outside the realms of the color schemes that we were doing. So if you follow us on Instagram, you know how boring it was because it was just the same color scheme and just a different episode every week, and I wouldn't post anything else. Well, that's going to change this season. We're going to post different things on there, and I think with the YouTube channel, we'll have the opportunity to make more videos. I think it'll be to add to what we already have going on.
Yeah, multimedia platform entertainment.
Right. Now that we have a team working behind us. Rodney, we love you and thank you for letting us do this here.
So much.
It sounds great. Funny story. I hated listening to last season because I sound like poop. Like I don't sound very good. And I guess a couple of months ago we were together and you're like, well, the microphone's facing the right way, right? And I'm like, well, it's just it's like the full microphone's a microphone, right? Like, no, like the words have to be facing you. So that night I went home and looked at my microphone and it was facing the wall. So that's why I sound terrible because I wasn't recording properly. And
yeah, and if you haven't listened to all of the episodes, I strongly suggest you listen to the early ones because we talked about the first time we tried to record was terrible.
It was three times.
Oh my God. And the first time we actually recorded and got it to work on the app, you played it back and you said it sounded like you were in a trash can in space.
I was in a trash can in someone's basement in someone's house on Mars, something like that. Yeah, I sounded terrible. And we finally had knocked it out because the first time it didn't record at all because we were using the Anchor app. Not familiar with it at all. We've also never done podcasts, so we're not familiar with it at all. So we do this and fail. We do it again, fail. We do it a third time, and I'll be damned if we didn't fail again. It sounded terrible. And I was on the couch listening to it, and I won't say what I said, but I'm like, and I text you, I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, this is terrible. We can't use this. So we definitely had a learning disability there in the beginning.
Yeah, and I remember, I don't know, we tried to record like 7 times one time. And I couldn't hear you, and it was because the headphones were Bluetooth, and because when they were on Bluetooth and your phone's connected to your headphones, it doesn't pick up the audio. Right. So we just kept going back and forth. The first time we tried to record, just kept going back and forth.
I did not punch 3 holes in the wall that day at all. Yeah, my headphones, as big as they are, so they're for hard of hearing, which I am, and if you didn't know that already. But you can plug them in, which is what I do, but they're also Bluetooth. So I'm like, well, it's plugged in. It should be fine. Should be ready to go. Not the case. Bluetooth on my phone was still on. So I'm sitting there talking, hello, Kellen, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you freaking hear me? Hello? And then we would have to text back and forth like, I'm so sorry, I don't know what's going on. Finally, figured it out, got rolling, and then it was gravy after that. I think we did pretty well besides my microphone facing the incorrect direction.
Which it worked out because it balanced out our voices because we were talking about this earlier before we started recording. I'm such a low talker.
Yes.
But now we have fancy equipment to help balance that out.
Can you see everything? Ooh.
I don't know what any of it does.
If you're listening to us, you're not seeing anything, but you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is
Weirdos, a YouTube channel.
It's that simple. Like, we're Weirdos a podcast, Weirdos a YouTube channel. Find that. There's one whole video on there right now, which is our new theme song, which you just heard, which we can talk about that. So along with everything else, I wanted a new logo. I wanted a new theme song. Our original theme song was Sons of Our Fathers, Memphis Motel. Fantastic song. Two of the members here in the studio. It was great, and it gets me pumped up,
Right.
like that beginning is just great. But I just wanted something different that was our own. Our logo sucked. It did.
Yeah.
I made it myself. Shut the oh, Jesus Christ. It did. He's right. I want that shirt back after the show, though. It was terrible, and it was fun, and it was simple. I enjoyed that part, but I got tired of making it all the time. I got tired of trying to dig through pictures that were free that I could use or having to draw. It was just a pain.
Right.
So I put out some feelers, and our buddy Scuffle Moss, who we had on an episode, Scuffle Moss Streaming, hello, sir, we miss you. He was kind enough to make us our logo, which you can see on all of our platforms, and then he made us a theme song.
Right.
I'm thinking Stranger Things and the Drive soundtrack, and he 30 minutes to an hour popped out what you heard at the beginning of this episode, and it's fantastic.
Crushed it. Absolutely crushed it.
He is out there. If you need any graphics made, if you need some music made, whatever you need, hit up Scuffle Moss. He will not disappoint you. I promise you that.
Agree completely. It was when Jay sent me the logo, I was like, oh wow, this is legit. Like, we're not like just two guys putting stuff together on our phone anymore. Like, this is a real thing that we're doing. And then when he sent me the music, I was like, well, I'm all in, because I love Stranger Things anyway.
Yeah.
And when I heard it, like, because I think the idea was an 80s vibe to begin with, kind of,
We were both born in the 80s. I wish I had lived through the 80s. 80s is probably my favorite decade for movies, music,
absolutely.
everything. It's fantastic. So we want to, capture that in what we do, because even though we talk about everything, I still feel like we have an 80s vibe about us.
Yeah.
90s a little bit. It's fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, the logo, game changer. Song, game changer. Studio, game changer. So, we're ready to roll season 2. We have probably 15 episodes lined up that we're going to do. But this one was just kind of our easing back in episode. So it's been a while.
Yeah.
New setup. So we just want to have a conversation. We'll talk to you about what you've done this summer. Like, what have you done this summer since we've not been recording in our separate rooms every week?
Oh God. Not anything outside of my normal summer. I usually I don't do a whole lot, but that's by design. I piddle in the yard. I'm getting the whole dad vibe going, like, stronger every year. Like, I seriously feel like I'm like maybe 2 summers away from jean shorts and New Balance shoes.
Oh, so you don't already have those?
No, not yet.
No. I have some jean shorts in my car, actually, in a bag going to Goodwill that I made myself so I can get down lower. You should see how far I can go.
These aren't jean shorts. These are like stretchy blue. Shut up. Anyway, I've really gotten in, like, to the point that I'm watching yard videos on YouTube and TikTok, watching people do like I'm like, oh, I haven't thought about that. So then I bought myself an electric push mower. That was a new acquisition this summer. And so now I'm push mowing my front yard and then mowing everything else, because I want the front yard to look really nice, but I have moles, so now I'm having to try to figure that out. There's a whole lot to being a dad that I didn't sign up for when I had my daughters. But working on that, and then, typical Gatlinburg trip, which got to go back twice in July.
Twice, you say?
I know, right?
Wow.
Yeah, went and stayed in a cabin that my buddy's mom owned. That was really nice.
That was nice.
Yeah.
We were almost died.
Yeah.
From a gas leak.
Yeah, it was a great week. It was a great week.
So what he's referring to is it was last weekend.
Was
right?
it last?
2 weeks ago? I guess it was 2 weekends ago.
Yeah.
We went to Gatlinburg. We went to go to the Smoky Mountain Fan Fest, which it had, quote, celebrities, end quote. I wanted to go because Felissa Rose was going to be there from Sleepaway Camp, which is one of my favorite movies. And at first she was going to be there the whole weekend. I'm like, awesome. Bought a Saturday ticket. Talked you into going because members from the Sandlot cast were going to be there, which is your favorite movie.
Yeah.
So bought a Saturday ticket. We were good to go. And then here, Felissa's only going to be there on Sunday. Oh, great. So then I had to buy a Sunday ticket. Okay, sure, I'll do it. So I was going to go Saturday just to hang out with you and see your childlike wonder as you met all your people, and I just stood there. And then a few days before we left for our trip, Felissa canceled.
Yeah, I sent you that text.
You did send me that text and ruined my day. Thank you. I guess I have to hear it from someone. It should be you. But she canceled, and I was devastated. I did get my money back, fortunately. Still had a good time. I met Perry Shin, who was in the Hatchet movies, Better Luck Tomorrow, super nice guy. And Santiago was there, my buddy, Cirillo. Got to see him for a bit, got him to sign a movie for me. And he has recently said that him and Felissa are buddies, and he is going to get us to meet up sometime in the future, and I hope that's true. I will get her to sign everything I own with her face on it.
That would be amazing.
It would be amazing. Graphics.
Oh, man. Hello. That's our logo.
Yeah. Again, YouTube channel if you want to see what we're staring at the moment. But it was a fun trip. We stayed at my mom's cabin, which is just outside Gatlinburg.
Which was gorgeous, by the way. Like I didn't know what to expect, but like when we actually pulled up and got to walk inside, I was like, oh, wow. Yeah.
So I'm sorry you expected not a trailer
I didn't
in the
know.
woods.
Well, I mean, okay, so.
Like I smell meth cooking.
Like I've been going to Gatlinburg since 7th grade and usually stay in a hotel. And one year I went with my parents, and my dad was like, oh, I have a buddy, said he has a cabin up in Pigeon Forge that we can stay for free. All we got to do is make sure we clean before we leave. It was not a cabin. What it was a trailer that somebody had cut the end off of and built on an extra room for a bedroom and a deck. It was
welcome to Millersville.
That's exactly what it looked like. It looked just like a house out of Millersville. So, I was like, we're not paying anything, so I'm not going to complain. Yeah, it was fun. Then I walked up and I was like, wow.
Played some putt-putt. You won because I had a finger injury.
Yeah.
Beat me in pool because of finger injury, which we start softball tomorrow. Finger injury. If I suck at softball, my finger is still currently injured. But it was a good time. My mom tried to kill us. You were in the bedroom, I think, with Megan, and we were in the living room and got this terrible smell of something. What's that smell? Yeah. And finally realized that someone left the stove on, so the gas was just pumping through the house. I'm like, we're going to die tonight. Like, we're going to go to sleep, and we're not going to wake up.
It's a good thing there was no smokers.
Oh, yeah, fortunately.
It would have looked like that scene in Christmas Vacation.
But
don't strike that match.
I had a good time. Didn't die. I actually went to Denver the week before that. It was a very busy week for me. My brother-in-law has become quite the nomad. They sold their place in D.C., and now they're just working remotely and traveling, which is awesome.
Living the dream.
They've been to the West a lot, so they were going to Denver to stay for a bit, and they're like, you should come. I'm like, I would love to go to Denver. So we went for a couple of days, which was fun. So I did learn on this trip that if you reserve a rental car, that does not guarantee you will get a rental car.
Right.
Which is a scam. Our flight got in super late. It was like 1 a.m. So we're going to get our rental car, and there's a ton of people. We make it through the line. We go up, and we were supposed to get a Nissan Kicks or something similar, which is what I already have and drive, is what I'm familiar with, is what I'm used to. It's also the cheapest. That's what we were trying to do. He's like, oh, I don't have any of those. I have that truck. And he pointed at this gigantic truck. And my dad has a truck, but it was not this large. So, okay, it's that or nothing. I mean, there's literally no other cars out there, which, if we had been another person or two back in line, we probably would have been stranded there.
Wow.
And I would have been very, very angry. I would have smashed something.
So the realism in the movie Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, when Steve Martin doesn't get a car, that's real. That's real life.
So we get this giant Dodge Ram, and I'm the one having to drive everywhere. So we go to one of the highest points in the United States, and we drive up this hill, and you look down, and there's nothing there but death, and over the years, I've grown to dislike heights. I don't like heights anymore.
Right.
I don't like getting on planes. It just makes me uncomfortable. It's just like, I don't want to fall, So I'm having to drive this big ass truck up this hill and down, and you're just looking, there's nothing. I just had to stay straight and not look, because I would have had a panic attack.
Oh, wow.
And it's cool because when you get up there, it drops like 40 degrees.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And there's no vegetation, because it's a tundra. Right. And the wind's just cutting you. I need a chapstick. My lips were killing me. But it was a lot of fun. Wow. It was a good trip. I'd like to go back, spend some more time. Other than that, it's just been a normal summer. I am looking forward to concerts coming back.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what is it, October? No, is it September?
I have
When is Offspring?
Offspring September 18th.
18th. Yeah.
I have like 10 shows in 3 months.
Oh wow.
So I went a little overboard because every band you like, they're touring this fall. Every one of them, for now, I would say. Every freaking one of them. And I can't buy all those tickets. There's still some announced, like Chevelle's just announced. I've never seen Chevelle. They announced they're going to be at the Ryman. I'm like, I have like 4 shows that month. Like, I just can't do it. But hey, it's nice it's coming back. We'll see how long it lasts.
Yeah.
How long we have to start wearing a mask in this studio so we don't infect one another. But speaking of shows, if you're listening, it doesn't matter because it's next week.
You
Scratch that.
September 1?
September. We recorded this a little bit early. So, just go ahead and disregard that one.
Date your mother.
Biff that one. Welcome back. So, with this episode again, we just wanted kind of to acclimatize to our new environment. It is a little toasty in here. We'll get that fixed before next time. And we'll be recording on weekends because I'm not sitting through that traffic again. But on top of just kind of catching up, even though you and I talk every day, I thought on the way here, I text you, I'm like, we should think about our favorite episodes and then give some more like little stories from those. And you're like, I have 45 minutes to think about it.
Yeah, you do this to me every time.
I know.
It's like
You
right
should be
before,
used to it.
right
Right
before
now.
we record, you're like, hey, I just had a great idea. I was like,
By the way.
okay, well, that's what we're doing then.
Well, my original plan was let's do a video and like I'm talking to you, asking you, hey, what was your favorite episode? Oh, let's go into detail about that, and then vice versa. But since we're recording now, why not just do it on air?
Yeah.
So I can go first if you feel more comfortable doing that.
Yeah, go ahead. Because I mean, I know what I'm going to do. So I took the assignment and went in a different direction. My favorite episode and the story I'm going to tell are 2 different things. But the story, when it popped into my head, I was like, I can't believe I didn't share that at the time because it's fantastic. So you can go ahead, or unless you want me to go.
Oh, no. So I think every time we record an episode, after I upload it, I text you. I'm like, I forgot like this or that. Or, we think about something the week after. Like, we should have said this. My favorite episode was the religion episode. That's the one that hits closest to home to me besides the depression episode, which we could go into like 10 episodes, a 10 episode series of that one. But I've gotten more feedback on the religion episode than I have on any other one.
Right.
People like, I went through that same thing, or, I really enjoyed it, or, you're going to hell, stuff like that, just normal stuff. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but my shirt does say Satan is good. Satan is our pal from the Burbs. But so I was thinking about the religion episode, and there's so much that I didn't put in there for obvious reasons. If you haven't listened to it, shame. It's there. Go listen to it. But I grew up in a very Southern Baptist family. It wasn't even my parents. It was my uncle who was a pastor. My grandmother went to church all the time who watched me, so I usually had to go to church with her. It was just a lot pressured to get up there and get rapturized, and just wasn't my bag, Right. It made me uncomfortable, and everything you hear about religion and church, you're not supposed to feel uncomfortable, unless you're Catholic. That's a different story.
Yeah.
And then, so I was thinking about other things I did that pissed off the church when I was a youth group pastor. So I used to be a youth group pastor. If you know me today, that probably blows your mind. I understand completely. But, I think I talked about the play that I wrote and how I had a guardian angel. And they're like, oh, we don't believe in guardian angels. Make it a ghost. I'm like, Jesus, okay, it's a ghost. Hey, look. But I was like, I did so much stuff there that at the time I'm like, this is good. Like, this is awesome. And then I look back and I'm like, that was not cool. Like I was dumb.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
I remember 3 things. Like one was, I remember one Wednesday night when we were doing, the youth group Bible study, I gave them Mudvayne lyrics to read. It was World So Cold, which is a great song. It's good lyrics. I'm like, let's read about this. Why does he think this world is so cold? Dude, like looking back, I'm like, maybe Mudvayne lyrics weren't quite what we should have been studying at the time. And I think if, everybody who's was in that youth group, thank you for not ratting me out that night, because I know the pastor grilled them on the way home. Like, what did he talk about? What was it? Did he talk about Mudvayne? Was it Power Man 5000 this week? Rob Zombie? Tell me. Tool? That was terrible. You know, I had some good ideas. Like when I talked about the running through the chairs with the flashlight, like Jesus is the light. If you're saved, then you should be able to get through this chair maze unscathed. Right. If not, you're gonna die. But another thing, if you know me well, I love Halloween. And I thought about this week. I actually might have just thought about it today, which is why I text you that, like, hey, let's do this tonight. But they let me make a haunted house in the shed in the back one time. And they let me coordinate a hayride. So churches and Halloween don't mix necessarily. Right. Me being a horror aficionado and fan, they let me do a haunted house in the shed. And my cousin at the time, her dad owned a shop on the Hartsville Square, and he had a ton of mannequins, and they had money. So they let us buy this paint, take all these mannequins, and we just chopped all these mannequins up, put blood on their limbs, everything. Had Tater and some other friends.
For church.
Yeah, for church. So we had this shed in the back, and I turned it into a horror maze with like chainsaws, and I mannequins everywhere, missing body parts. Praise him. They let me do this once. Like it lasted one night. Like, you know what? I don't think we should do this anymore. I don't think this is really the direction we want to take the church. I'm like, oh, I understand completely. So they let me also do a hayride for them. And it was down, if you go down to the river back.
Yes.
Yeah. You go by that big cemetery in Hartsville.
Right.
This is perfect. We'll go to the cemetery, and then the engine will die. Spooky. And then I would have people come out from behind the graves. Like they were stepping on someone's grave. I'm sorry they did that. But we made it all the way to the end, and I had Tater dressed up as Leatherface in the woods. So there is a trail back there, and it's a sketchy trail. It's where people go and dump and hump. Like that's what they do. There's a trail. There's washer and dryers back there. I assume they don't work. They're back there. So I had Tater back there for like 2 hours waiting for us to come. Preacher, everybody's on this hayride. We get down there, and then you're, and then here comes Tater screaming and waving this axe around, this chainsaw around. And there were little kids on this said hayride that lost their minds. And then the driver's like, the engine won't work. We can't go. And they just cried. It was a disaster. Like, you know what? I don't think we want you to do our Halloween celebrations anymore. Man.
That's fantastic.
Fair. That's fair.
That's fantastic. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, I went in a different direction with the project, like I said. And so my favorite episode is the good old days. I think, obviously I picked it, so of course I'm going to be partial to it. But just the nostalgia of that episode, like I could listen to that again, even though it's our recording, just to kind of remind myself of some of the stuff we talked about. Because it was, like I said, it was nostalgia. It was thinking about, my childhood. So that's probably my favorite episode. But the story that popped into my head when you gave me the assignment was not anything about my childhood. It was about poop. So,
we also had an episode about poop, which was my second favorite, honestly.
It was. That one went a whole lot better than I thought it was going to. It went so well. It was so funny.
It still holds true. We on our way back from Gatlinburg, I'm like, let's go to McKay's in Knoxville. And as soon as I got there, the bottom dropped out. I'm like, I gotta go. It never fails.
I took some Imodium before we went,
Smart.
So that I wouldn't have
Smart.
that problem. Yeah. I planned ahead. But so this story, I've shared before. I work in healthcare. I work in a group home for traumatic brain injury patients. So all adult males. I'm gonna do my best to stay within HIPAA guidelines. So when I used to work the floor on weekends. So this is a large house that we work in. And so at the time we had 2 private showers and then a shower that was kind of a community shower for 6 guys. So the shower was your typical like glass door shower stall shower. Walk in, pull the little glass door behind you. It's gold edging. It's super 80s or 90s because this house is an older house. Anyway, so it was on a Sunday, and on Sundays they went to church. So one of the workers would load 3 of them up and take them to church, and then I would be back with the other 3. So about 15 minutes before they're supposed to get back, one of the residents has a bowel movement in the middle of the kitchen.
Whoops.
Just on himself. Totally, a normal thing, not for everybody, but where I work, that was, I knew that was a possibility with this particular person. So it happened, and I noticed it as I'm walking through to try to get stuff ready for lunch, because church gets out around 12:15 they get back, so I try to have the table set. So anyway, so I see it on the floor, and I'm like, oh, man. I'm like, hey, buddy, let's go get you back and get you in the shower. And I guess he had tried to take care of it himself, so it was on his hands, it was on his leg where it had... So, total show. So, as we're going back... So, as we're going back, so we're in the kitchen, and there's a hallway that goes down across the length of the house, takes a left, and then that's where the shower is. So, I've got to get him through the house to that shower. As we're leaving the kitchen, he's dropping little presents on the way. So I'm trying to straddle that.
It's like a weird Easter bunny.
What? This is the worst Easter bunny ever. So I'm trying to wrangle him back to the shower. Everything's fine. I'm like, hey, buddy, let's get back here so we can get you a shower and get you cleaned up. And then when we get back, you can eat. So get him back to the shower, get him undressed, and he sees the shower. I've already got the water on, so it'll be warm, but the moment we got to the door, he turned into a cat in a bathtub. Both hands braced on both sides of the door, both feet spread across, and is like pushing back, and I'm trying to like guide him. I'm like, buddy, you got to get in the shower. I was like, there's literal poop on your hands, and he's like looking at his hands with the poop on them, and he's still like...
Did you not just grab him by the back of the neck? That typically works.
No, but I finally get him into the water, getting him cleaned off, get done, and I hear the back door alarm that somebody's coming in. So I'm finishing up getting him cleaned up, and I come out and I see in the poop on the floor footprints. I'm like, dang it. So I'm like checking the bottom of my shoes.
You're never gonna catch me. That's all that's running through my head.
You're never gonna catch me. You're too slow.
Oh, we have fun. We have fun.
But so I see the footprints and I'm like, dang it. So I check my shoes first, right? And then I go to one of the other guys. I'm like, hey, there was poop on the floor. Did you step in poop? And they're like, no, I don't think so. And I'm trying to check with them. Now, if I came up to you, I was like, hey, Jay, I think you stepped in poop. Well, how would you check to see if there was poop on the bottom of your shoe?
I think I would probably just lift my foot up and observe the bottom of my shoe.
You wouldn't run your hand across the entire bottom of your shoe?
Probably not. That's probably, no.
Because that's what one of the guys did. I was like, hey, I think you might have stepped in poo. I didn't step in poo. Runs his hand across the poo.
He was very confident.
He was super confident.
Did I now?
Until he was.
Then what I do this?
What man in his right mind would run his hand across the bottom of his foot if it was covered in poop? But yeah, no, that was his choice. That was his method of determining whether
he works there. Wasn't a patient.
No, he was one of the patients.
Okay, that's a little bit better. I guess.
But I don't know if I can blame it on his brain injury. I think that was just him before. I think
that's how he was raised.
Yeah. So I was like, I can see it, and he was like, oh, okay. And so took him to wash his shoes off and set him on the back, and he had to go around barefoot the rest of the day, in his socks. But yeah, that was a story.
That confidence. I'm gonna be honest. Like he obviously grew up seeing his dad. He like, Dad, you have poop on your shoes. Like, do I? And he like wipes it.
Oh, I guess I did. Got me that time.
He's
boy.
like, now you have it on your face.
That's what you get for telling me. But yeah, that was this first story that popped into my head, and I know I didn't share it. Poop episode because it was more personal. The poop episode was more personal.
That's true.
Yeah.
Like, the poop episode wasn't about people stepping in poop or pooping. I guess it was a little bit about them pooping their pants, but under different circumstances, like when they're in a normal place like Media Play or Books A Million, when you just have to poop.
Yeah, that's how it happened.
Wow,
it was a great episode though.
That was a good episode.
It was another one. There's been a couple that we've done, and that was one where I was like, we might get 25 minutes out of this, and it was like 48 minutes in. I'm like, wow, we're still going.
Yeah, and that's one thing now. Like, is there a timer?
We're at 30 minutes.
Wow, it seems longer than that. Our crew left us.
Yeah, I was.
Producer Rodney is gone. Spectator Shay is also gone.
Yeah, and this thing doesn't do anything yet.
We have a board we'll have to work with.
I can't do the music if we were to just like spontaneously be like, well, that's it. Enjoy episode one.
We actually have to wait for him. And then I was literally thinking when you were telling that story, I'm like, does he know to play the song when we're done? Surely. If not, we can just edit it in later, right? So I have a list of other episodes that we had talked about. I'm going to run through those. And if you're listening to this and something calls your name, let us know. Because while we do have lots of ideas, there's other things that we probably haven't even thought about. So we want to know what you want us to talk about because we want you to listen. Now, what's the point? If you're not listening, our wives don't listen. Mine doesn't.
Well, mine does.
Yours does. My mom hasn't listened because I swore too much. So a couple episodes we had lined up, which from last season we were going to do cryptozoology, which we never did. And that's one that's going to take some research, which is kind of why I've pushed it. I thought it would be fun if we did it while we were at the cabin, like go out into the woods, but how would we have done that? Just didn't make sense. Yeah. We're going to have an actual Rodney episode. He's not here to hear that, but we're going to have Rodney on and just talk. You get him wound up. It's going to be a good time. I thought about doing a zombie episode where we talk about zombies and surviving the zombie apocalypse and possibly have Santiago come in who was on The Walking Dead. Yes. I think that would be fun. One of the ones I am most excited about is one that I call Guest Roulette. Guest Roulette would be one where we do, a 45-minute episode, but it's 15-minute short episodes where we have a guest on, we talk to them, we move on to the next guest. I think that would be a lot of fun. It'd be super fun now that we can actually get them in studio.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some of these I won't say out loud, but Bentley Caldwell, my chocolate whale, he wants to come in, so we can do the Eagle from Scrubs. He wants to do an episode, so we'll do one with Bentley, which will be a lot of fun. Another fun one would be like When I Grow Up. Someone suggested that one on Instagram.
Great idea.
Yeah, so like, what did you want to be when you grew up? Like, what's a teaser? What did you want to be when you grew up? What's the first thing you recall wanting to be when you got old?
A professional baseball player.
I see that worked out for you.
We'll find out tomorrow.
Right. We'll find out tomorrow. So that's a softball thing. We're playing softball. No big deal. I wanted to be a storm chaser. The first thing I remember was a storm chaser because of Twister. Yeah. I wanted to be, I already looked like him, so why not be Philip Seymour Hoffman, Like,
well, you didn't go back. Well, I guess the look-wise, yeah. Bill Paxton, I would have been like, Bill Paxton.
Yeah, I told you the story. Like one time someone's like, you look like that guy who killed himself. And I'm like, what? And I finally figured out, I'm like, Philip Seymour Hoffman? I'm like, yeah. They're like, don't you wish you were him? I'm like, dead? I'm like, no.
That's a great icebreaker.
I'm good.
I'm going to just start walking up to random people like that. Hey, you remind me of that guy that killed himself.
Bet you wish you were him, huh? A sports episode, I don't know. We'll think about that one. Another one that's more like a pipe dream episode was Uncle Peckerhead, which is a movie that I absolutely love. You haven't watched yet.
Not yet.
We'll watch it together. I will bring you over to the house. We'll watch it. It's fantastic. But I'm Instagram friends with a couple people from there, one of which is in a band called $500 who wants to come to town, working on that too. I think that would be a lot of fun. We talked about having other bands and artists on to talk. We talked about cancel culture. Which one could be?
That one's good.
That one could get hot.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't get political often, but if we're going to get political, that's probably when it's going to happen.
I can delete Live from the Mountains since we're no longer live from the mountains.
Yeah.
Delta 8. We had a nice conversation about that one earlier. A Halloween episode where we get together in a cemetery and get our Ouija board. Rodney's back. Get our Ouija board and see what we can come up with. Fears. Our biggest fears. I think that would be a good one.
Spoiler, it's spiders.
Talk about our old jobs. I think that one would be another good one.
Yes.
And then I won't say all the rest, but another one's just like part 2 of season 1 episodes where we went long because we just wanted to keep talking and we can continue to talk about it more.
Yeah,
whether it's movies, music, everything. But it's good to be back.
Great to be back.
I didn't know if I missed it, but I think I missed it. I know you said you missed it.
Yeah, like the first month was nice. It was nice not to be on that, like, and it wasn't time consuming like in that way. Like I enjoyed the conversations. It was more of like having to move everything around for it. But after that first month, and I started to realize like I enjoyed just the conversations.
Yeah,
I enjoyed like just talking about stuff. Like I said, some of them you would get to talking and then remember things, which is why we end up having part 2, season 2, is because like you said, we would get done and I would start to remember other things that I hadn't thought about. So, that part I started to miss. I was like, it was nice to have conversation. Plus, it was during a pandemic. And pandemic. Pandemic. But I mean, we weren't able to hang out. Words killing English. We weren't able to hang out very much during that time, so it was like a nice escape from that to get to like hang out in some way.
Yeah, get away from our wives.
But yeah, I love you, Megan, so much. It started to like, okay, I'm ready to get back, and so now, yeah, I'm glad we're back.
I think at the end, it was just there were some episodes that weren't that great. I don't think that we did, and I think our listens show that. So I felt like we were just kind of struggling. I just thought a break would be good. Even then, we need to talk about it. Like I was thinking, do we want to do this every week now, or do we want to do it every other week?
And I think since we have the space, I think maybe we can just knock a couple episodes out at a time and just
here's
be
my
done.
thought:
that way, instead of recording every week and it becoming almost like a job.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah, and like we could even drop an episode one week, the next week we drop the video.
Yeah.
There's
options.
Yeah, we'll think about it.
We never run out of stuff to talk about.
Yeah. If worst case scenario, we just sit here and stare at each other.
Instead of uploading that to YouTube, we can upload it to the hub.
What hub?
There's an audience for that.
Some of them are in the room.
Show your feet.
I've been trying to get Ryan to take his shirt off for a week, and it's just not happening. We'll get there. I promise.
Someday.
On video.
Yeah. But we did discuss with him that he plays the music at the end of the episode, right?
I texted him.
Discuss that.
I texted him just a second ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess we'll wrap it up for our first episode back. And it just flown out like always. I don't know what we're going to talk about next week. I have no idea. We'll figure it out.
You'll tell me 45 minutes.
I'll tell you as you're driving here. So get Siri, tell me about Bigfoot.
I'm sorry.
Thanks for listening. Our listens have been going up over the break, which is nice.
Across the board, even back to our first episode, we broke 100, which it's probably not big for some people, but that was huge for me. Yeah. And I saw that 100.
I think we're in like 21 different countries now, which is nice. Russia is number 5. So shout out to V Poots still listening over there, wherever they're. But that's going to do it for this week. Thanks for listening. Thanks to Rodney, Shay, Keelan, and we'll see you next week. Be sure to follow us on. We're out of practice of the game. Follow us on the socials.
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, maybe sometime. Definitely YouTube's.
I'm Jay. Jinx.
To remember to keep it weird.